From the Coptic Orthodox Church of St.Mary.Sourian Monastery, this is one of the miracles of Father Falteous of Souriany. Dr. H.S. tells us of a miracle that was performed for him through the intercessions of the great saint Pope Cyril VI and Father Falteous during his life in the flesh. He says, "I was one of the doctors who was treating Father Falteous at the hospital, and one day I asked him to pray on behalf of an ill patient who was a relative of mine. Her name is Madame W. Madame W. was very ill with diabetes, and she had cardiac insufficiency, as well as gangrene on one of her heels. She was under the care of Professor Magued Aldib, professor of haematology and blood vessel surgery at the University of Ein Shams. After examining her, he concluded that the artificial artery, which was implanted in her leg, needed to be removed and that the leg needed to be amputated below her knee. I, on the other hand, wanted to meet with him to inquire on the matter, and he explicitly said to me, 'Take my diagnosis letter and go to the Dar El Shifa Hospital right now, where the patient lies. Ask the senior doctor to show her leg to you and do as you see fit. I have no issues with that. I am sure that you, as well as Dr. Rashid Bishara, who is one of my colleagues, will agree with what I have concluded.' Indeed, Dr. Bishara and I went to the hospital where Madame W. lay bedridden. Dr. Bishara performed a Doppler onto the bottom of her foot behind the area that was affected with gangrene. This was also the same area where the artery was implanted, and he said to me, 'It seems that there is no other solution than to amputate her leg, because the wounds on her heel will be very difficult to heal, especially because of the low blood circulation in that area. Hence, it was concluded that Madame W. would undergo the amputation surgery. This is when I called upon the prayers of Father Falteous, and I informed him of all that had befallen Madame W. Father Bistawros, one of the monks who accompanied Father Falteous, took her name down and they began to pray. Madame W., who asked for the intercessions of her patron saint, Pope Cyril VI, who was also beloved by Father Falteous. As soon as the operating room was prepared, Dr. Aldib entered to amputate the leg. However, all of a sudden, he paused before starting, and he decided to redirect the surgery to removing only the part of the heel that was affected, and to perform a graft for the area. But how would he do this if there is an insufficiency in the patient's blood circulation? Nevertheless, Madame W's medications and doses were revisited and altered, after which she was given a blood transfusion. Dr. Aldib then removed the artificially implanted artery, and he cleaned the wounds very diligently. Afterwards, he grafted the patient's heel. To our amazement, the surgery was a success. But how? I cannot answer how. All I can say is that it was because of the intercessions of the saints. After Madame W. recovered, she was eventually discharged from the hospital without having any amputations, or even a cane to walk with. She lived for quite some time thereafter. When I returned back to inform Father Falteous with regards to what happened, he used his known way of denying that he had anything to do with it. Instead, he pointed towards one of the other monks who was seated far away from us, and he could not hear what we were discussing. Father Falteous then said to me, 'Do you know who was praying for her?' It was that father who was standing over there. He is the one who prayed for her. May the blessings of the prayers of His Holiness Pope Cyril VI and the blessings of Father Falteous of Souriany be with us all. Amen.